I've usually told you how I script my videos and I need to really know what I'm doing every time I'm making these videos, but lately I've been feeling like I just want to come out here and be more myself, because whenever I'm trying to read a script, which is really obviously ticking some specific points to share them with you, I also feel like there's not much of my own personality in the videos, and I thought that I would really like to do one where I'm more myself and just really like energetically showing up as my authentic self, because I feel like lately it's so important on social media to also be educational, and that is also why I feel that all my content needs to always be super intentional, and there has to be like a script or a topic. This time I wanted to talk about a subject that I feel that has been in my mind more and more lately, and the questions are around creativity and how do artists usually find their creative side, and just sort of tune into that, because I feel that we're always being told that we need to do something in order to be creative, like you need to create more, or you need to build a social media platform and create and do and just keep up with everything, and sort of like taking yourself almost like on the verge of burnout instead of really feeling your way through the creations. And I know that a lot of artists actually do have like a spiritual routine to go with their artistic practice to better sort of find that intuitive creative process and to really get that into what they're creating. I also know that there are many who are not having any sorts of spiritual connection to themselves and creating through their own intuition. I mean, I wasn't doing it before and I wasn't really sure what that actually meant. A couple of videos back I told you about a book that I started called The Artist's Way, which has been so transformative on my path. It's like, obviously it's magical, but there's also so much more to the book. I've been able to really tune into my creative side after I started to read the book, doing the exercises, and also just writing morning pages. And I thought of sharing some of the things that I did before already prior to starting this book, but also the things that I found in the book and I think are really pivotal for artists, all sorts of artists, to really tap into, and understanding that we're not like a light switch that you can turn on and off to be creative. But I do feel that if we nurture our creative side, not only through creating, but also just being still and being present, we're more able to find ourselves being more aligned in what we do. I mean, I've been struggling with creativity for as long as I remember. And even when I knew that I want to be a photographer and I know what I want to do, and I had a lot of ideas, my ideas were mostly based on inspiration and borderline copying other artists. And by saying this, I mean that I was so inspired by others that I wasn't really understanding where the line of being inspired and where the line of like copying another artist, where the line was going. And this was something that I was not really aware, because I wasn't aware of my own actions and things I was doing as an artist, but also I felt that that was only inspiration, right? So I wasn't reflecting on that, and I wasn't paying attention where my ideas were coming from. But if you feel like you're an artist who is more in tune with their own body and maybe have some sort of spiritual practice already, most of these exercises might be actually something that you're already doing. That just means that you're actually more connected to your body and probably already creating through intuition and really like intuitive ideas, instead of forcefully deciding to create something when you have this frame or this time that you are able to create. First of all, which I think is something that we all sort of always struggle with, is meditation. I don't meditate every day. I try to have a morning routine where before I even get out of the bed, I try to prophesize over my day, where I really go through what I want the day to look like. And I usually speak these out loud, so whenever I'm like home, it's not always possible, but you can say them in your mind internally. After starting the book, I also started to write morning pages. So I write 3 pages every morning, and this is usually the first thing that I do after I wake up. I mean, I have my coffee and then I start to write the morning pages. I don't speak to anyone, I don't look at my phone, nothing. I just start writing immediately, just to really clear my head on the paper. I noticed that I had difficulties in writing by hand because because my hand got really like tired. So I started to write on my laptop, and I feel that the morning pages have been very, like, they've been so essential in this change that I've been having within my own creativity. And it's not something that you instantly notice. For me, it was something that I was writing and I had zero ideas what to write about. And I would look around and think like, okay, what can I write? Like, can I write about my day? What am I about to do today? What happened yesterday? So I was trying to pick up something to write because you need to fill the 3 pages. It's interesting to look back and see that some of the pages, like, you never actually read the pages that you've written, but looking back on the experience of the writing the pages, the days that were really painful to have my thoughts on the paper, afterwards I felt like they still cleared something within me. So after writing and sort of dumping all your stress to get them out of your head, even when you're like super inspired and you just feel like, oh, I want to do everything, I want to start creating now, just writing everything down, it empties your mind and you're more able to start creating, because there's no thoughts to really weight you down. Because once we wake up, we have the power to decide what our days are going to be like. So if we really sort of feed into stressful things that we're going through, it can really affect the way we create. And for me, it started to become very much of this sort of forceful creation. So I would be creating like portraits with my mother, but I would understand that I wasn't feeling aligned in doing that, and it didn't really feel good, in the sense of I'm so excited about this final result, or that I feel that this idea came to me intuitively. But all the ideas that I actually get intuitively, so when I'm on the bus or in the shower, I really have to write down the ideas that I get. Whenever I think that I'm going to be writing them later on, it never happens. Through meditation, you can really quiet your mind, quiet your excess thoughts that you have, be more still, and to hear and sense a bit better what your body is trying to tell you. And for me, like a slower morning where, I don't know how to explain, maybe almost like getting excited in your body, because you can decide to have that feeling within your body. It's sort of like you start to vibrate differently, and through that, anything that I start to create, or even like write down ideas or what I'm about to plan for the week, I feel that I have a totally different outlook on, like, my energetics are just so different after like this morning routine that I have. Another thing that I feel is really important, but is for me, it's always so sort of difficult, because I live in Finland and I love nature. I do love nature. We're now in Cyprus actually, but I do notice that mostly it's quite dark, gray, pretty cold. Yes, we have snow sometimes, but I would love to live somewhere where it's warmer. So I do struggle with going out and really being in the nature, like really being there and not only walking from my car to my home. And I feel that I'm way more connected with my environment when I'm in a warmer climate. And I noticed that I feel better, I feel more grounded. Today we went to the beach and I feel like my body just sort of lights up in a different way. If you can, make sure that you do go out in the nature. Just go out and be still and just listen what comes into your mind. And yes, of course, sometimes I listen to podcasts and I try to, make good use of my time. Whenever I don't do that and go through the uncomfortable feeling of, yes, I need to just sit with my thoughts, I usually notice that I come out of the walk, I come into a really calmer state of mind. And it's something that also helps me with noticing these intuitive ideas, because when we are doing things like driving or just working or doing something and our brain is really on automatic mode, I feel that it's not as receptive to ideas and really tapping into it. Obviously, like, you don't need to always be creating things in order to be creative. So that's why I feel that being in nature, you can really feel creative and you can feel inspired without actually creating anything. And it's just because you're more in this receptive state and your mind is open to receive sort of downloads or these intuitive ideas. And one thing that has helped me enormously lately are subliminals. I've always known about subliminals. I've known that people are using them. I've actually in the past have tried to do my own subliminals. I actually even did like a voice note to myself that I would listen straight when I wake up in the morning and when I go to bed, so I wouldn't have to sort of go through this visualization mind movie, but I could just listen to these affirmations and fall asleep right after that. But I noticed that I had resistance, and this is something that I feel if you're even a bit of an analyst person like I am, it might be difficult for you to let these affirmations in. Even if I do affirmations in front of the mirror, like through EFT tapping, it's sort of more effective for me. Previously, when I did affirmations just on like an audio recording that I would be listening, I would be hearing it, but it didn't feel natural or something that I actually believed. And I knew that there was so much other work that I needed to do before I could actually believe what I was telling myself. So what the subliminals actually do is that you're listening to either like white noise, brown noise, maybe the sound of the waves or something else. And under that audio, there's affirmations that are being said. You can find these everywhere on YouTube. And I also did a similar audio for specifically artists and other creatives because I felt like I wanted to specifically affirm some things that were connected to my creativity instead of like self-concept or abundance or things like this, which are also equally important. And after I've been using this subliminal and also some other great subliminals that are from other creators, I feel that I'm more open to take in what the day sort of gives me. Because you can wake up, do affirmations, even meditate, but then if you have a set of beliefs that are really rooted deep, they can be about your self-worth, and through that, that would reflect into how you view your art. And also if you have a belief system that since you were a child and you were told that you're not artistically inclined at all, you will never get paid for your artistic creations, it's really rooted so deep that it's difficult for you to get into the actual creative energetics where you feel that what you're creating is coming from a higher place. So you're not only creating from an idea that you were inspired by another artist, but it's sort of this, like the source is giving you an idea and you are creating it in your work. What the subliminals did to me was that when I try to sleep with them. Obviously it's not as easy because I don't like to use Bluetooth earplugs, Bluetooth headphones, so I would like be all tangled up in the earphones and my phone would like overheat and everything. So I will try this back when I get back home and I can put it from my laptop. But whenever I would be sleeping with subliminals, even for like, I don't know, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, it doesn't have to be long. If it happens right before I go to bed, or if I do this first thing in the morning, obviously like this would happen before my meditation, I notice that it feels like it just clears all the subconscious beliefs that I have about myself, about my art, about the things that I feel that I'm not, good enough to do. Whatever beliefs you have, subliminals can really, really work. But I feel that in order to really get them to work is that you set the intention before you start to listen to them. So if you just plug them in and you just like wait for a miracle, it doesn't probably come. But if you set an intention that, okay, I want this subliminal to change how I create art, let's say, it will definitely work. It will so definitely work. And sometimes I even think about why didn't I start subliminals earlier, because they've been just such a game changer for me. I had a whole script for this video. I feel like I just want to speak freely about the things that I do to be more creative, almost like tap into that creative side, because I feel that a lot of artists find it difficult to find their creative side, and they feel like they're sort of accomplishing their creative side, so they just decide to be creative, then they do something, and that's them being creative. But I feel that creativity is so intensely connected to spirituality, and it's almost impossible to separate those two. So I feel that in order for you to find that inner creativity that you have without being forceful about it, I feel that you can tap into so much more and have ideas that you really feel that you're aligned with when you start creating. I hope this video was informational. I would love to create more authentic videos where I wouldn't be speaking like a robot, but sometimes I feel that those videos are also authentically me, but obviously there is a lot more writing that went into the script. I try to always like get specific points through the video, and it does really take out the whole intuitive, friendly discussion that I want to have with you, which is just telling about the experiences that I have and hearing if you've experienced the same things, because we artists usually create alone and there's not much of a community that we have. So I feel that it would be great to connect with other like-minded artists. Yeah, let me know what you thought about this video, and I'll be seeing you next week.